Zelensky has visited the front line on a few occasions, and one of his more recent visits to the front line, like near Robotny, like the villages that were taken back during the Ukrainian counteroffensive, one of the few that was, that was particularly close to the Russian front line. But that wasn't the first time. He also visited near Avdiivka. He also visited, near the sign that the Russians actually now occupy. He visited near Bakhmut. He's visited near the front line on multiple occasions. That's on top of, since the start of the war, him continuing to show that he's still in the country, which, out of all the things that Zelensky did to help protect Ukraine and to stop it from collapsing from the Russian occupation and the Russian advance, it was him staying in place. It seems that Zelensky has decided to do an interview with Fox News to once again visit near the front line, to award soldiers, meet with injured personnel, stuff like that. But he took Fox News along to broadcast the fact that he's doing this and to answer any questions that they might have. So, I mean, if anybody thought it was just a big, it's just a big media frenzy, it's all like green screens and nonsense, I think this interview, I mean, that was always nonsense, but I think this helps put that to rest, to just show you like the seriousness of where Zelensky is right now. Russia's western grouping of forces has recently intensified operations along the Kupiansk-Satovi-Kreminna line and is focusing on 4 axes of advance, the apparent coordination of which likely reflects a wider operational objective and higher level operational planning. So it seems that the Russians right now are trying to envelop Kupiansk. Now, they want to take Kupiansk, and then if you see here, there's a river, that's the Oskil River. They want to push the Ukrainians past the Oskil River, and then they want to take Izium. Izium, once they take Izium, they can push down and take locations like Kramatorsk, big cities in Donetsk that the Russians want to take to try to, complete their quote-unquote liberation of the Russian territories of the LPR and the DPR. Then they can complete that promise. And so a lot of people talk about like negotiation, and of course, I think negotiation should always be an option. There should always be the existence of back channels. But I think a lot of people say that under the idea that the Russians are satisfied with what they have now, when they are actively continuing to pursue taking more land. The attack on Avdiivka came with extremely high losses. We're talking about at least like 17,000 dead Russians. You believe the Ukrainian numbers, you're going up into like over 40,000 to 47,000. And so I think a lot of people like, we need to stop all the aid to negotiate. Some of them don't understand that the fighting itself, as of right now, if we were to enter a period of negotiation, would ultimately become part of the negotiation process. Because the Russians would intensify strikes, intensify the pressure, intensify attacks in order to try to get more out of negotiations. Or they also could know that they could walk away from negotiations, just keep up the fight if the Ukrainians don't have the leverage to get what they would want to get in negotiations, get the best deal they can. And that is the very least we could do for them in a situation like that, if that comes to pass. Anyway, that's where they are. It is a hot spot. The Russians want it bad. In fact, it was something the Ukrainians took back during the Ukrainian counteroffensive around Kharkiv. And so the Russians want it back, both for, I think, military reasons, but also psychological reasons. But anyway, let's watch.
While Zelensky had very tight military security, a constant volley of artillery back and forth could be heard throughout our interview.
We have to be more quick. That means to lose all the bureaucracy what we have. Otherwise, we will not have any chance. So to be smart technology, more technologically, and of course, quick. It's not money, it's people lives.
Now we've seen Russia on the move. It took full control of this town, Avdiivka, south of here. It's the biggest gain, as you hear an artillery round there, the biggest gain in 9 months for Russia. And does that mean that we're seeing the tide turn here, the war change?
It's not new page, because during these 2 years we deoccupied the Kharkiv region. Now we are in this region, also with dozens of villages, small villages and cities, and also we unblocked the Black Sea. Now we have their grain routes and etc., and destroyed a lot of their ships, Russian fleet. That's what we did during 2 years. Yeah, the last year was mostly complicated for us at the end of the year. But what we what been done, I think it was good job. And what they could do, only this one place. But what for?
For Fox News and the type of commentary that's regularly going on there, just having that pure, undistilled, like, hey, here is an example of, here's Zelensky talking about what they have accomplished, what they need, so you know it's not just like nonsense, it's coming from a real place. For those of you who think that the danger is fake for whatever reason, here is the sound of artillery in the distance. Here's an example of Zelensky willing to put himself in the line of fire. Somebody generally kind of ballsy in doing that. I think this will generally appeal to the market that Zelensky is trying to appeal to better than people are going to give it credit for. I understand that for the vast majority of super diehard MAGA people, they probably already have an idea of what they believe of the war. But when we're talking about Fox and you're talking about dragging the last few people over, trying to keep support built up or just add a little bit more pressure on Mike Johnson, this is the type of stuff that Zelensky is great at. And if there was any person who could try to finagle more support from that side as it takes that isolation is spent, it is somebody with the media training and experience Zelensky has. And I think he did a decent job.
We talk earlier about what happens if the U.S. for some reason does not give you the funds. Do you have another option? Is there another option?
Really, it's difficult to find something, similar. Of course, we will we will not stay on the same place. We have to survive. And to alive, we have to find some parallel steps, parallel rules. But anyway, you understand that this help is crucial. So without it, sorry, but we will have more and more such heroic guys who will be in the hospitals, because if you don't have a real defending shield and some similar powerful artillery with the rounds, of course you will lose people.
For the audience they're trying to get the attention of, for the audience that needs to hear this, for the people who need to be shown a little bit of the reality of the war because they have seen just like these Twitter threads of, oh, look, people are at McDonald's. This McDonald's isn't on fire. I guess the war is fake, la-di-da. This is the type of stuff that slaps people, and they can continue to deny it. They can continue to look the other way. They can continue to put your head in the ground. But there is a power to the truth that is undeniable, and having a little bit of it just dropped in, even if it's just with an eye drop, just the tiniest bit, it can still have an effect. I think it can still have an effect. I think Brett, out of all of the Fox News hosts, I think he did a decent job given the time he had. That's the most credit you'll ever see me give a Fox News host.